Okay, so let's have a look. I can't wait to be educated from you guys. Today, you guys educate me. Okay, this one looks interesting. Using social media a lot can lower your attention span and focus. That's an interesting question, actually. That's a very good question. Or that's a good hypothesis, let's say. If it's just slow after using a social media for a while. That's a good question. So this is a good focus group activity here. Yep, that's a good one. Yep. This would be, you guys can run your own business now. Your own start a focus group business. There is a question that I hope that you guys asked. I haven't looked at it yet, but there is one question related to this that I think is interesting. Do you feel that social media is the main cause to make you feel distracted? I don't know about this answer. Like, I will always recall the content I have viewed on social media regardless of the occasion. I don't believe that's true, actually. You won't be able to remember all that stuff. Yes, I think this is a very good point. Right. So that's interesting. That's an interesting discussion. I could interject my own opinion into this if you guys want. I think that if you look in history, that all the new technology is quite addictive. So for example, when the TV first came out, people got addicted to the TV, right? They sat in front of the TV all day, every day. And that's still true, actually. Right now they're addicted to Netflix. But it's just every time a new technology is introduced, people are addicted to it, right? TV could be the internet, right? Social media, video games, yeah. All this technology is addictive. I think personally the difference with the social media and the addictive quality now is the barrier to entry, or the friction, the reduced friction. So like with TV, you have to go home, you have to sit in front of it, you have to turn it on, you have to be in a specific spot, right? And that was true also when the internet first got popular and video games. But now, you don't have to be anywhere. You have that distraction always at your fingertips. That's like the difference. So the barrier to entry is very low now, if you know what I mean. So that idea of being addicted to the technology is very old, but the barrier to entry has gone down. forward with this social media now with the phones. Redbook, I don't even know Redbook. What is that? Is that a Chinese thing? Okay. TikTok in Bill. I don't know about Billy Bill. That's funny. I don't use any of those, by the way. Any of those three. Okay, yep. Instagram, I know. I don't use Snapchat or Twitter. I tried Twitter and I tried Snapchat, and I didn't get hooked on them. WeChat's pretty good, I guess. Okay, these are good questions. This is a good focus group. I had one student tell me that they spent 8 hours on TikTok one day. That's pretty serious. That's pretty serious. I also had a friend tell me once, back when I was a student, I said, if you could have any job in the world, what would it be? And his response was, I would be a professional TV watcher. I would just watch TV. This is really bad. I think he's not really, he doesn't realize how bad that would be, actually. That would be really bad. Like, I think a good exercise, by the way, a good exercise is to, how many hours a day, is then to multiply these answers by the number of days in a week, the number of weeks in a year, and then to find out your lifetime, how long you spend. So you'll find out if you really spend 5 hours a day on social media, or some hours, you'll find out that over your lifetime it adds up to years. Like you spend literally a few years of your life if you were to do it for your whole life on social media, which is too much, right? You don't want to spend years of your life in front of the social media. And by the way, there are books on this topic that describe why social media is so addictive. I have read some of the books. There are specific reasons why they're so addictive, and there are specific algorithms that make them addictive, and they're engineered to be addictive, right? They're engineered to draw your attention in. So if you're interested, there are actual books on this topic. And some of the books are written by people who have worked at the social media companies, like former Instagram employees and so on. So I'll give you an example. The idea of infinite scroll is new, actually. This is a very recent feature, or a recent innovation. So when web pages were first written and apps were first written, there was no such thing as the infinite scroll. You had a web page, it had a top, it had a bottom. But infinite scroll was invented probably only like 10 years ago or something, with maybe Instagram and Facebook or something like that. So the idea that there was never a bottom to your page that you're looking for, that's a new invention, actually. And that's part of the addictive quality of these social media apps. But you can read about these things in some books. If anybody's interested, I can tell you the names of the books after class that I read. Okay, that was a good one. I learned something, I think, from that one. Is it possible for students made to develop course selection strategies for their future employment? Okay. That's an interesting question. Oh, I was going to say for this one, by the way, it would be a good to have the question why. Like, why is social media so addictive? Like, that would be a good question for that group. Is it possible for students majoring in computers to develop course selection strategies for their future employment? That's a good question. It is possible. That's a good hypothesis. Do you think ChatGPT will give you positive advice on further career selection? Do you trust it? Answer yes. Okay, so these answers are very, they don't have much detail. Like this one is much better. So this one is actually perfect. You have the individual answers and then you have a summary of the individual answers. That's like perfect role model, actually. So this one, yes, is not very helpful. We don't see the individual answers and why people chose what they did. What direction do you want to work in computers? In computer direction. Okay, you might want to use a tool like Grammarly or ChatGPT to improve your language on that. Computer vision, machine learning. It would be interesting to see the individual answers to this question from the individual group members. Do you know what computer skills are required for the job you want? Know most of them. Okay, so if this was a coursework, this would get a fail. This is not really a very good focus group. So you want to show the individual answers and then you want a summary of the individual answers. And you want to provide a little bit more detail. How to complete a good research paper on the topic of AI development. Okay, I don't think I understand that hypothesis or question. I don't know what you mean, how to complete a good research paper on the topic. Do you mean how to publish a good research paper on the topic of AI development? Is that the question? Is anybody from the group here to answer that question? What do you mean complete a good research paper? Anybody want to answer?
Write down.
Huh?
Write down.
Write it?
Yeah.
You mean publish or just write it?
Complete to write the paper.
I mean, writing it, there's no point in writing a paper if you can't publish it, right? Anyways, that's a very ambiguous hypothesis. So I wouldn't recommend such an ambiguous hypothesis. Like, what does it mean to complete like coursework 1, for example, or what? How to get the right AI research materials. You can go through any research or Google Scholar to find AI-related papers and materials, research information obtained through other methods need to be recognized. Okay, it would be interesting to see the individual answers here. By the way, we had a workshop on finding the relevant research papers. I hope that what we discussed in that workshop would be incorporated here. How do you learn about cutting-edge AI research? Okay. One way to do this is to ask a school teacher to ask relevant research questions. Sorry. I wouldn't ask a school teacher. I would ask somebody that does research, not a school teacher. or interview the employees of the research company and ask about the development. I wouldn't recommend that either. I wouldn't recommend that. So what does that mean, research company? I wouldn't recommend that.
Institution.
Wouldn't recommend that at all, actually. Because if you, imagine you interview an employee of, I don't know, Microsoft, for example. They're not going to tell you what they're working on. It's classified, right? It's classified. They want to keep their secrets. Yep, that's okay. But I think a good technique would be to talk to a researcher. And you could attend AI conferences, AI-related conferences. That would be another strategy. How to choose a research direction that suits you. That's a difficult question, this one. I put that in there in the examples because it's a difficult question and it's kind of interesting. Reflect on long-term career aspirations. Yep, that's not a bad piece of advice. It's best to have relevant experience in similar projects before. Yep, that's good. Yep. Choose a topic that challenges you and pushes your boundaries. That depends on your kind of personality. A lot of people don't like to be challenged. But I think another answer is you have to experiment. You have to experiment with different topics and see if you like them. On the road to the development of human science and technology, what are the moral and ethical issues that need to be paid attention to? Sorry. On the road to the development of human science and technology, what are moral and ethical issues that need to be paid attention to? Individual privacy rights and safeguarding their personal information is paramount. Okay. Developing AI aligns that with human values and doesn't harm. Okay. Yep. Doesn't harm the user. Yep. Yep. I think. Being truthful is also important with AI. I think AI is not always truthful, and I think that's important. Like sometimes you're getting false information and you don't know you're getting false information, right? As we saw in the previous workshop. Do you think that AI will become an indispensable part of people's lives in the future? Yes, it's becoming more and more indispensable. It's changing many fields such as media care, transportation, family life, and education. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, there are 6 questions. By learning computer programming, what meaningful products do you hope you can use this knowledge to solve a great? That's a good question. I would use Grammarly or ChatGPT or something like that to improve the language of these questions, right? It's kind of ironic that we're talking about AI, but not using it to improve the language. But that's a good question. AI and imaging technology and what it was speech to text functionality. Yep, that's a good direction. Act as a teacher in the educational sector, addressing disparities in education levels and resources across different regions. Yep, that's probably true. Artificial intelligence Jarvis from Iron Man, designed to assist in managing daily tasks, serving as a digital companion. Yeah, I suppose that's true. By the way, so like just as a side note, AI is not new. Right? I think AI, I don't know exactly when AI started, but maybe in the 60s around there, 1960s or 50s, this term was coined. And since the inception of AI, there has always been this dream to have a machine that acts like a person, right? And like acts like a companion. It's always been a fantasy. So it's a very, very old fantasy. but it's never been even close to reality, never even close. And there's a famous test called the Turing test, everybody know, and the Turing test is still a dismal failure, right? Most programs cannot survive the Turing test for more than 10 seconds or 15 seconds, right? But by the way, I think this is a really bad ambition. I think this is really, really bad. I don't think we want to invent machines that replace people. I think that will cause lots of problems. But maybe a machine that can enhance or complement a person's tasks or work or something like that could be useful. But as a replacement for people, I think that's a really bad idea, actually. And that has very serious moral and ethical implications, I think. Okay, let's have another look. Of course, we had to get into this political stuff. Can Donald Trump become president? I think we already know the answer to that is true, yes. Like Donald Trump can become president, right? I guess technically he is president somehow, like you still call him President Trump. So when somebody is president and then they stop, they still have that title, I think, president. Taking a photo. What do the current polls say? Trump is leading the polls the most. Okay. It would be good to, I mean, it's good to also use, your laptop to get some answers to these questions, right? Latest polls. Is this really is this a reliable source? Does anybody know if that's really a reliable source of information? I think it's somehow, I feel like we're regressing a little bit and we're not sure what's reliable and what's not reliable. I feel like reliability is like decreasing over time now. Anyways, I have no idea how reliable that information is. Does anybody from the group know, or anybody in the class know if this is reliable information?
I think it was on CNN or Fox. I think CNN is somewhat reliable.
It's difficult to say. I think with politics, nobody can successfully predict politics, really, I think. Yeah. How are the different polls done? After reading it, I felt that the margin of error matters. Sampling is just thought would be... Okay, that's an interesting question. Just phone numbers on the Yep, that's an interesting question. I think an important concern or an important factor is how transparent are the polls? Like, how open are they? Can we find out all the details, or are the details hidden? But the more transparent they are, I think the more trustworthy they are, and the more reliable the information will be. And the more closed they are, the more secretive, the less reliable they're going to be. What percentage voted for Nikki Haley? Who is Nikki Haley? Should I know who that is? Who is that?
She was running against, she's the Republican candidate who was running against the primary.
Okay. I should know that. Most people thought Nikki got trounced Some members think Republicans will only vote for their party. Others think Trump will end up splitting the voters, especially the Reagan-era Republicans. Yep. Okay. Haley, but she insists on staying in the race for the president, even though our odds succeeding will quickly vanish. That's all the race voice in her name. Okay, I mean, 30% of the votes in politics in the U.S. is very significant. It is very significant. Are the polls reliable? That's a good question. What I think, based on the research finding, the group was quite impressed. It was more accurate than they thought it would be. One member felt there were many different factors in play. One event can totally change the situation, like Trump's indictment. Early polls are weak predictors of November results. Yeah, so, I mean, we'd have to look at the historical evidence. You know, that's what they're showing there. So, won the popular vote. Okay. Maudale. Early polls are weak predictors in November. Actual. Ahead in the polls on March 13th. Won the popular vote. I mean, according to this graph, they're pretty good predictors. So, but I guess that would really require, that would be a very good, like, I bet that would be a very good political science research paper. I bet that would be a good one. One thing I read that's very good predictor is gambling websites. I've heard that gambling websites are very good predictors. You look at the odds of somebody winning and you place a bet and all that stuff. And I've heard that they're very good predictors. I haven't looked deeply into the matter, but I've heard that they're good predictors. Polls have called elections correctly 78% of the time. Oh, that's that's a lot, actually. The final 21 days. Okay, that's a lot, I would say, if that's true. A good question for this would be, do you feel like you understand politics? That would be a good question for this focus group. Like, do you feel like you have an understanding? Or how often does the candidate that you want to win actually win? Like, that would be another interesting question. But Trump is back because of Elon two candidates false for example. Who is Milo Yiannopoulos? That's not the basketball player, is it? Who is that?
He's a very controversial American right-wing figure. He's considered as very divisive figure. I mean, he has very observed political views.
Okay, I don't know who that is. Trump's posting at least the remainder of Trump's indefinitely in wake of the riot on the U.S. Capitol Court. It could be inferred that Trump is also in the opinion of the media. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting focus group. Yeah, that's an interesting one. It would be good to also have the individual answers in addition to the summary answers. I'll make that clearer for next time. Any other ones? Okay, one more. So at least you guys chose some interesting topics. What about the current status and impact of AI? That is not a very good question. It's too broad. You need something with a little bit more focus. I guess this could be like a little bit related to the very last slide that we had in the focus groups lecture, where it was just, here's a topic, let's discuss it. But this is a little bit too broad. What about the current status and impact of AI? Okay, are you familiar with AI? Okay, it's not a very exciting question, is it? A good question here would be, how do you define AI? Right? Has anybody thought about that? How do you define AI? That's an interesting question, actually. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So nobody in this group took an AI class? Nobody took a class? Like, because after you take a course, then you learn about it, right? Every day. Okay. I rarely use ChatGPT. Personally, I only use it in this module. That's it. I don't use it. I never use ChatGPT. It's almost as always. Huh. Okay. What impact does AI have on the software development industry? That's an interesting question, actually. I think many software developers have been replaced by AI. AI completed steps in software in the future. From my perspective, so it's huge. Improve the code debugging. Summary. I actually would not agree with these answers. I don't think that AI has such a big impact on the software development industry, actually. I don't think any software developers got replaced by AI. So as you could see in the workshop, we had a workshop using ChatGPT. Remember that? Last week or 2 weeks ago? It gave a lot of false information, a lot. And it gives a lot of false source code too. So you can't just replace a software developer with AI. It gives a lot of false information. Yeah. Maybe someday it will, but currently it gives a lot of false stuff. And in some way, it might be the opposite. This might be the opposite. Like you have to spend more time debugging AI code. That could be the opposite, actually. There is a small chance that AI accelerates the software development process a little bit, like it makes it a little bit faster. But what would be really interesting is to actually interview software developers and ask them this question, like actual software developers. So this is a good question. Why is AI so popular right now? I'm not sure about that. I think this would require some research as to figure out why it's so popular right now. Which industry do you think is most likely to be replaced by AI? Jobs that involve repetitive tasks, require low cognitive skills, are primarily rule-based. Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable to say. So the more repetitive a job is, the more likely it can be automated. Yeah. Like, you know, the factory line, assembly line sort of style. Data entry, telemarketing. Really? You think telemarketing is going to be replaced by AI? Like you get a phone call from a chatbot? You think that's going to work? Yeah? Like, thank you chatbot for calling me. I can't wait to talk to you. If a chatbot called me, I would then connect it with another chatbot so they could talk to each other.
Oh, actually, it has this situation. In China, there's Xiaomi, and they have an AI assistant to block, not block, it just play with the light, to play with the phone, in the phone. Telephone, and after the user of the phone will do their things, but after this telephone, the AI assistant will give a feedback to the user, and the user will check the dialogue with AI with the layer. It's very truly like the layer will not layer or some people try to sell something to you, and the AI assistant will ask the detail of the merchants, and the AI will and they will talk each other very like a human people will do.
Sounds like a waste of time to me. Sounds like a big waste of time. Anyways, when a telemarketer calls me, I don't generally talk to them. I hang up on them. So if a machine called me, I would be even more annoyed, and I'd block that number as fast as I could. I don't know what other people say. Assembly line work, maybe. By the way, this basic customer service business, I think there is a trend to try to replace basic customer service with AI, but I think that's at the expense of the customers. I think if you talk to customers, they don't like their experience with a machine. Like if you give a customer the option of, would you like to talk to a machine or a person? 99.99% of people will choose a person, right? Nobody wants to talk to a machine. Companies just pretend that they can replace customer service with a machine, but it's really at the customer's expense, right? The customers are not happy about that. And by the way, I don't know, maybe I'll do a lecture on this. But yesterday, I was shopping at Lidl. You know, does anybody here else shop at Lidl? And there's the self-checkout machines, right? You guys use those? So when I was scanning my products and then like putting them on the weighted side, it stopped working, right? Because it's just like, sorry, there's an error here. So you need to call the assistant. And I was thinking, like, it's very rare for me to succeed at Lidl, to get through the whole checkout without any problems and without any human intervention. It's very rare, actually. So and then I was just thinking, okay, this almost never works. Like it almost always requires human intervention. And then I was thinking, like, how often do the machines we use on a daily or regular basis actually work? The simplest machines, Like self-checkout, on the grand scheme of things, self-checkout is one of the easier, simpler tasks, right? Because you just have to match a product with the weight, right? And even that simple task is very unsuccessful. So you have broken, I was thinking, I have broken machines all over the place. Very, very simple broken machines. Self-checkout is unreliable. Printing, unreliable. Scanning, unreliable. Presentations, problems. ATM machines. The ATM machines have been around for 30 years at least. They're still unreliable, right? We have simple machines around us every day that are very, very unreliable. And they're pretty simple. Well, it depends on how you define simple, but let's say simple compared to the idea of a self-driving car. Self-driving car, very, very complicated. So why would you believe in a self-driving car when we can't even get these simple machines like self-checkout to work reliable? It's bonkers in my opinion, completely bonkers. So be careful of the hype. Okay, anything else? Any other ones? Okay, one more and then we'll wrap up. Oh, I need access. Okay. Anyone want to give me access? Seal or sign in this rlaramee. Do you guys know how to do that? This was like a... See, that's a perfect example of what I was just talking about. Another process that fails, right? Okay, if everybody's happy, we will stop here. And yeah, you're free to go. If you're unhappy, you can stay and talk to me until you feel happy, and then you can go. Yeah.